Oh, how you doing, comic fam? We are live. I'm live with a friend over here. This is kind of last minute, but I'm stoked about it. Who do we got on the mic with me on this Monday afternoon?
I like that we're friends. It's a good thing. It's Nick from Key Collector Comics, everybody. I hope you're having a great day, great start to your week. And I'm on with Comic Tom. It's like being a celebrity.
You know what? I appreciate you joining me. You caused a ruckus over this last week. I want to chat about that. I feel like I wanted us to have a couple days go by, and then I wanted to see what happened. I wanted to see what the community's response to, and you caused a ruckus. But the first thing I want to talk about is you were actually recently published, and yeah, tell me about that.
Oh, well, Sci-Fi Wire, Sci-Fi, like the Sci-Fi Channel, they have a media arm of their channel, which does, they have YouTube videos, they have their social media platforms. So it's Sci-Fi. And they reached out to me and they did this entire article, which was like, I thought I was going to get a blurb, but I got this incredible article that was really in depth about the origin of Key Collector and where it is and where it's going. It's just really like a feel good for me article, and hopefully people enjoyed it.
So I was super stoked to see and read that. And first off, kudos. They wrote a bunch of really nice things. They're definitely seeing the impact Key Collector as an app is having on the not just comic book community, but just in the app world. I mean, sci-fi is a mainstream channel. But what I find really interesting is that you had a mainstream channel publish you recently.
Right.
And I'm just going to put I would bet right now that in the last 3 days, you've probably had more impact in the comic book community with what has happened with Major X and Rob Liefeld than anything a major media company has said about you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny because I saw this article and I'm like, oh, this is great. It's going to be, there's going to be a huge flood. But the funny thing is, right, I mean, there was a good amount of attention and I got a lot of good subscriptions and downloads. But when I told everybody that Rob Liefeld blocked me, it was like, it was an explosion.
Okay. Before we go on, I want to let's catch everybody up. I know everyone probably knows, but I want to kind of just jump into this here. We are talking with Nick from Key Collector. Yeah. This guy's awesome. Go follow him on YouTube. He's putting out a bunch of content over there.
Thank you.
And you got to follow him.
Well, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. I mean, I'm most active on Facebook and Instagram, but I want to be more active on YouTube. But Tom is taking up the whole space.
That's right. So I'm taking up the full stream. All that Google has, I'm taking advantage of. But Nick, you have an app. It's Key Collector, and a lot of this information that we're going to talk about here, this was all notified via Key Collector. You directly communicate with every member that is signed up on your app. You get really great information out to the community faster.
Yeah, you get a lot of great information. I like to call, I say it's comic news now, comic news that's happening now. If you're a subscriber to Key Collector, you get push notifications, which are like email, which are text alerts that tell you about what's happening in comics as it happens. And then there's a bunch of other stuff that's part of the subscription, which would be, dollar bin diving, which is a focused category of what is in the dollar bin that's worth more than $1, that's for sure. And what's hot, what's trending, speculation. So there's a lot to it. But even as a free user, there's just the entire database is open. You could search by artist, writer, publisher, variants. There's a lot to do.
So I like that you mentioned that there is notifications letting you know what's going on to the minute, because Nick, there's a person here. You're seeing him on the screen who actually gets that information out to the community.
Are we live?
Oh, we are definitely live. I know. And shout out to all the members currently joining us today, last minute. But this is kind of how it goes, because I want to talk about one of the notifications that you sent out this last weekend and what happened. We reported on it this last Friday on the CBSI hot list, but stuff had been kind of happening the last 24 hours up until that release of that video happening between Wednesday and Thursday. And basically, and Nick, I want to kick this over to you to kind of run with what exactly happened, because I've already kind of talked about it. But from my perspective, what happened is Rob Liefeld, he has this character that he developed, Major X. that issue number 1 dropped this last Wednesday. He has a variant cover to Deadpool issue number 10, which features Major X on the cover. There's 2 different versions of it that he's selling privately. That is technically the first appearance of Major X, but it's just on the cover and it's a variant. We kind of have one of those Immortal Hulk situations happening where we have a issue that's labeled as the first full appearance, and then we have the first cover appearance. But to just take one step further in that Immortal Hulk direction, we also have a cameo appearance that was unplanned that came out days after that variant cover, but days before Major X1, making it a first appearance in continuity. Do we not?
Well, yeah, and the interesting thing is, and we all are fans of Rob Liefeld. People my age grew up with Rob Liefeld. I definitely, and I don't know if he took any of this that way, but I'm not a Liefeld basher. I'm not somebody that is trying to say negative things about Rob. He's had a spectacular career, from being one of the co-founders of Image to developing these worldwide characters, these characters that are renowned worldwide. And he hasn't even delved, the movies haven't even delved into his full library of characters. But, there is a certain standard that we as information providers, you and I, have to follow when we are talking about important things, which are first appearances, in what is the difference between a first cover appearance, and even taking that further, first cover appearance that is a variant distributed by Marvel specifically, or an exclusive that is offered on a creator's store or a merchant's store, also somewhat comes into play in terms of how valuable this could or might be, or how valid this is. But in terms of straight visual perception, yes, this is a first cover appearance, and that is what it is. There's nothing on the interior of Deadpool 10 that suggests Major X. So it is a first cover appearance. I've heard people say, well, CGC labels this that way as a first appearance, even though it's only a cover appearance. CGC is inconsistent in its labeling at times. It will call a preview of a character a first appearance. And then if you look at Preacher, which has a couple previews that preceded Preacher number 1, it calls Preacher number 1 the first appearance of Jesse Custer, Tulip, Cassidy. But so...
yeah, they'll go even as far to say, is this issue predates whatever key issue that the market has decided to be.
But it is inconsistent. So we have to look at the situation and go, all right, visually and by date, what is it? It is first cover appearance, Deadpool number 10, the Rob Liefeld exclusive variants available on his store. Then there is a cameo appearance, a controversial cameo appearance that happens in Deadpool, Spider-Man number 47, or Spider-Man Deadpool. And it's very obscure. I think it's on the 3rd page for the people that are having a hard time. It is a very Where's Waldo moment. And if you look underneath the shark's legs, you'll see Major X falling into the lava back there. Understandably, Rob, it's his intellectual property. He wanted to introduce this character. So it's understandable that he wants to say, well, yeah, the first appearance is on the cover of Deadpool 10, available for $100 as a 2-pack, signed in my store. There's, I think I think he has every right to charge whatever he wants, to charge for his signature, every right. I do not fault him for that. I think that it's unfortunate that a fan of his that wants to collect the first appearance of Major X has to spend $100 to collect it, that there's no other option. And when I say first appearance, because that will generally believe that what Rob says, that's what it is. But the truth is, the first full appearance is Major X number 1. The first cameo is the Spider-Man Deadpool. And the first cover appearance is that Deadpool number 10, only available on RobLiefeldCreations.com.
Okay, so you mentioned these things, and I want to touch on what Rob has chosen to say and do, because that's what I want the focus of this video to be, because I have something to say about that. But I also, before we get into that, Rob blocked you because you made this information clear, and it sounds like he wasn't happy about it.
I don't know if that's why he blocked me. I mean, I don't know at what point I got blocked. It was either that or it was when I presented the artist's reply, which was, hey, I was just trying to, I didn't know that it was coming out before your issue, and I wanted to honor you by doing this. Because Rob called him a clown, which was like, what? No, the guy actually wanted to honor him. And who knows if that's the truth? You know, who knows if this guy snuck it in just to sneak it in and the editor missed it? And who knows if Rob was just wanting to offer this $100 opportunity to make money on these issues? We don't know. We'll never know. But yes, I clarified it for everybody on his page. And the next time I went to, and he actually retweeted something that I put up. And then the next time I went to write something, I was blocked. So then I just said on my social media, Rob Liefeld blocked me.
Right. So I found that interesting. So it's just what happened. I mean, we laid out in this show the history of like Rob's opinion on the situation and how you got blocked. And I think it's really clear that there's just a giant misunderstanding from his end on the value you bring to the community and the information that you were just providing them. But I wanted to just bring it right around to his response of this whole ordeal. And maybe we can just end it here. I would love to hear your opinions on this, because both of us, we play a role in this community where we just, I know, I feel like I can speak for you, but please. My goal is to try to bring value to the community. Every time I'm on the mic, I want to try to make a show. I want to make something entertaining. I want to make something informative. I focus on how can I leave the mic thinking I brought value of some kind. And you have to be doing the same thing. I mean, I get notifications from you that come out earlier than IGN. I get information from you, from your app, that comes out before a lot of mainstream media, because the community has chosen Key Collector as an app where they can rely on information really quick. It may not be the biggest in like, all right, I have to buy this issue, but it's going to be all the information that you got to deliver. And that brings a ton of value. I think that mainstream artists such as Rob, this is going over their head because they've almost abandoned the collector's market. And I want to say that because I think that what he chose to do and run with this information shows you how detached he is from this collector's market. And I mean this as a Rob Liefeld fan, someone who's never complained about the way he draws feet, someone who's never complained about the way he disproportionately draws his figures, because I like the way that Kirby's fingers go at you. And Kirby drew fingers in a way that don't look like real fingers. So don't complain about the fingers. I am of that opinion. So I like Rob. I saw him at Cal Comic Con. The dude was on the dealer floor buying art from dealers who are hustling, who are trying to make a living. Like, he's a good guy. But I think that his response to this was literally the opposite of what a content creator should do in this field. Why do I think that? Because he caused a stir about a comic book that is popular, and this whole ordeal could have been a positive thing. And I want to just throw this out there to the community, that is, when stuff like this happens, we need to shout from the rooftops when things are being done wrong. Rob, you did something wrong. You shouldn't have tweeted the way you did. You shouldn't have done a lot of the stuff you did. He's blocking a lot more than you, Nick. I'm seeing tweets regularly of him blocking people. It ain't good, because a lot of these people are people who are supporting him, who are making videos about him, who are buying his comic book. I want to throw out there that as a collector, as someone who's a fan of Rob Liefeld, what I would have liked to see happen was this cameo planned out. I would have loved to see Rob actually go out there and been the one to drop the information that, oh, guess what? A comic book that no one was paying attention to, cameo, and have the internet go crazy. Have me go on the mic on, dude, top 10. We're going to have over 10,000 people listen to us talk about what Rob Liefeld did. And all they're going to come out saying is, wow, Rob Liefeld does not look good in this situation. He could have been causing this spike in the market. He could have been causing this conversation to happen. And I want to just highlight here, this was a moment wasted. And Major X is quite popular. And I bet he could have been more popular had he done this right.
And one of the big things was that he refused. I think what got a lot of attention for this was that he came out of nowhere and said, I will not sign Spider-Man Deadpool number 47. And it's like, everybody, I'm sure his 92,000 Twitter followers and his 200,000 Instagram followers were like, what? Make what? Spider-Man Deadpool number 47? What's that? And you're not going to sign it? Well, this sounds controversial. I'm sure he drew a lot of attention to something that he might not have wanted to bring attention to, or it could have been well thought out where he brought attention to that.
Can you imagine had he said, hey, I will do a free sketch, a free balloon sketch that I'm charging $50 for a little circle with two eyes. I will give you a free doodle to anyone who brings me Spider-Man Deadpool 47. Can you imagine what would happen in the community if he did that? People would be praising him. And the creators of this other run who's struggling to put together a comic book to get people to freaking buy it in the first place, they would thank Rob. The whole community would be on Rob's side. They would be getting stuff graded. They would be shouting from the rooftops, Major X is a new character that Rob is bringing to the table. And you know what? Let's focus on the creations there. And instead, we have more and more people looking into his past, looking up for reasons to complain. I don't want to get into it, but you know what? We have more and more people talking about his Kickstarter, his Indiegogo, his stuff that is getting funded, and we're not seeing stuff happen from this creator. And what we are seeing is him causing a negative spike in the market because his opinions on what should be considered a key. And that frustrates me because you know what? We make a True First video where we just talk about this stuff and people enjoy the conversation about the characters, about the first appearances. And it's very clear that he wants to sell a comic book. He just wants to sell it. And he's one of the biggest artists of our time. And it's super disappointing is what I have to say about it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, he definitely is someone that a lot of people tie back to their childhood and the nostalgia of the 90s. And, you know, the nice thing is that he's somebody that's still relevant today, that's still producing stuff. And it's still a chance to reconnect to that feeling of when you were in the 90s. So you do want to support him. You do want to support his projects with Marvel, his personal projects. And, you know, whether it's by design, yeah, there does seem to be and we all love Rob for what he meant to us as kids and what he means to us today. But, you know, behind a lot of his projects there does seem to be a controversy, and it might be his way of marketing. It does seem that has been his way of marketing for decades.
Yeah. If you look through, I mean, all this stuff's on the internet. There's a lot more to talk about with Rob than the way he draws anatomy. And it's definitely goes a bit deeper than this, but I want to focus on the thing that the collectors really care about, which is the influence of these creators on the market, because let's look at the facts here. Major X is sold out. It's selling for 3 times above cover price. Is Rob not selling comic books that have a $3.99 or $4.99 cover price for 100, you know, variants that he'll do stuff with, but for $100? I mean, we brought to the table a whole different controversy with the rags situation. We had people who were out literally hundreds of dollars. Hundreds and hundreds. If someone bought 2 copies of some of these books, they were out over $1,000. We can't have content creators looking at the collector's market going, you know what? He has an opinion. Nick from Block. No, we can't let that stand because
you don't want to silence people when they say something, especially if it's not anything negative. I mean, it wasn't negative, and you know, I'm not in a position with Key Collector. The point of Key Collector has always been so people could have more fun collecting, so they could be more knowledgeable. It's an educational thing. Some people like to say that it's a speculative thing, but the speculation aspect of it is just a small percent, because really the whole of it is offering information, because it's been over 8 decades of comic book publishing. And sometimes you need a guide through those milestone moments in comic book history. But, you know, when there's somebody that is producing things that are somewhat controversial, there is a time when you want to protect the collector by saying, hey, this is what's going on, just so you know, these are the black and white facts, right?
Absolutely. And I want to just throw out there too, I did say that it was sold out. I may have been incorrect in saying that it's sold out across the country. What I want to clarify is that it's going, I mean, I'm looking at eBay prices, it's going double. Some covers are going for $14, $15, $16 for a first print. So in particular areas,
amazing success.
it is. I mean, if it's going for 3 times cover in a particular state, it's likely sold out in that state. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see this book be considered sold out as it pertains to eBay descriptions here in the next week. But that's just my 2 cents. I could be wrong there, but we are seeing hikes for these comics. And because we're seeing hikes, it means that the collector market is involved. And if the collector's market isn't respected, Rob, then you're only making matters worse. And at the end of the day, who's going to be out money? It's going to be the person who bought copies of the book at a much higher rate.
Right. And then when you mention stuff like, you did mention the Kickstarter, it's things like this that, it makes you go, you got a tremendous amount of success and you got an awesome fan base. I mean, his fan base are some of the nicest people that I have seen, as you were talking about it. And I looked into this Kickstarter, which launched in 2013, and it generated $35,000 to revive Brigade, which is a comic book series from the Image days back in the 90s that Rob was going to revive. And he was going to produce this 35-page Brigade series, this issue number 1, that was supposed to be printed. 100,000 copies were supposed to be printed. But after raising the $35,000, here we are, it's 2019, and we're still waiting for this comic.
There hasn't happened anything, right? I heard about this Brigade that was supposed to come out, but that was never fulfilled. Am I wrong?
It's never been fulfilled. He still updates the Kickstarter that it's going to be fulfilled. And I think he's getting close. I mean, it seems like he's getting close, but it's been 6 years. And then, and there's also been an Indiegogo campaign to support it last year around, I don't know, November. And it's just, we're looking for it. We're looking for this to come out. We're looking for it to be done. I mean, there's $40,000 that have been raised for this, and it's time to bring it to the table. I want to put it in the Key Collector database. I want to read it. I like what Rob produces, and we want to see what he has promised us that we're going to see. So hopefully it gets back to him that, hey man, we know this is your magnum opus. We know that it is something that you've been working on, and hopefully we're at a point where, he's gotten past some of these issues with, getting hacked and losing colorists and having problems with printing, and he could produce this Kickstarter that began in 2013.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, it sounds like the conversation could continue, because that's a lot to be said there. A whole other can of worms, but I do appreciate you joining me here today, Nick. And
thank you, buddy.
I think it's important that we're able to have these conversations freely without, blocking you and things like that. So
yeah, exactly.
We're just trying to bring value to this comic book community. I mean,
when cover
price to $50 overnight, $40 overnight, there's a story there, and I want to communicate that story to the community that is, that's interested in it. And clearly they are, because holy smokes, things blew up over this last week.
Yeah. Well, hey, big fan of the guy, big fan of comic books in general. Let's all keep things out in the air and communicate and make sure that, our collections are legendary collections. That's the whole point of it.
That's right. And I just want to continue to, from our conversation that we had with the Rags team to this, new conversation about Rob Liefeld, the more we can get creators involved in working with the collectors market, the better. That's all I have to say about it. I do appreciate everybody's time. And I want to give a quick little shout out to Nick over at Key Collector. He produces a lot of great content. Follow him on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, Key Collector app. I use it. It's a great app. I source a lot of
free app, free to download, $2 to subscribe. So thank you, Tom. I love what you're doing. You're awesome, you and your team. And thank you everybody for watching. So we'll talk soon, buddy.
That's right. And we have 9 more days left for the community to sign. Is that right? 9 more days? 8. 7 more days. Math. 7 more days. A week left for you to join the Mystery Mail Call community. 15th is the deadline every month. We have a bunch of Shazam going out this month, and boxes are already being sent out. We do have more left. You can reserve your box up until the 15th. Geekstreet101.com. The link is in the bio to sign up. Join the community. And Nick, can you do me a favor, as always?
Of course. Always. What is it? Tell me what it is.
There's one thing that we say at the end of the show. You got to remember it next time, my brother.
I'm sorry.
The community is going to help us out.
Okay, let's do it.
What does Nick have to say, comic fam?
I'm not seeing any comments.
You don't see any comments. Oh, well, then you know what? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to read them for you. At the end of the show, we say one thing, comic fam. And shout out to AKA Mr. Bolo for joining us. Ken Vaz. But Discovery Bay Comics is going to start us out by saying geek responsibly. Rome, Garza, Edwin.
Geek responsibly, of course. I didn't know that we were doing the whole, everybody geek responsibly.
Boom. That's how we do it. Carolina, Chris, Joshua,
thanks,
Vincent, Troy Box, Luke, Josh Davis, Joshua Vincent, 90MF Comics. Oh, all these people. Edwin, Bruno, Geek Out Therapy, Adrian V Comics. So many people joining us today. Thank you so much, comic book fam. We'll see you very soon. Enough said.
All right. See ya.